If you create for everyone, you create for no one. It always comes back to the idea that if you can be vulnerable with yourself, if you can create from a place that is deeply from your soul, that's going to speak to an audience naturally. And then ultimately that translates to an audience that resonates.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mindtea, a podcast where we discuss sip-sized, practical tools for meaningful living. I'm your host Issie, a mindfulness teacher, tea ceremony host, hypnotherapist and speaker. Today's episode is a bit of a special one. I get to sit down with one of my best friends, Kina, an all-round creative who trained at Central St. Martin's and is now a YouTuber who bridges artistry, intuition and healing in her work. We talk about ways to overcome creative blocks, the psychology behind perfectionism in the creative process, and also using art as a mechanism for healing. I wanted to record this conversation because Kina taught me something I didn't learn through training or books. At school, she was one of the first people who trusted her own intuition when it wasn't cool or fashionable. Over the years, I learned what it looked like to allow your creativity to flow just by watching her be herself. So this conversation is more of an honest conversation between two friends reflecting on what happens when we allow creativity to move at its own pace. Let's get into it. Kina, welcome to Mindtea. I would love to start by hearing, in your own words, your own story and what led you to the integration between art, intuition, and healing.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. What led me to this path between creativity and intuition? I don't remember the day where I actively decided to pick up a pen and paper and draw, but it just happened to be the resource that really spoke to my soul. And when it came to healing, intuition, and all of that, I was an only child. And my parents, bless them, my dad had to work a lot. He was never home. And my mom had her own other stuff that she's dealing with. I was left alone a lot. So all that abundant time and space led to me just increasing my creativity, time to think introspectively, develop my sense of I want to be deep. I want to question everything. I escaped into drawing. I escaped into the fine arts, painting. I escaped into design technology, all the traditional basic art stuff. And yeah, that's genuinely how it started. Yeah.
So at school, you were actually always known as the creative one. Whenever your name came up, I always associated you, and I know many people did as well, as being like really insanely creatively talented. So I know that wasn't always an easy journey for you though, knowing you personally. Can you tell us more about what your early relationship with creativity was like?
With any significant journey, there is always like a rough patch, right? A tough relationship. And that kind of pressure started when I think my dad came in, and he was a very goal-orientated guy. Success, achievement, all of that. He didn't work a 9-to-5. He's a businessman. And the businessman archetype. So when he only had one child, he wanted this child to succeed. He saw that I was so happy drawing here and there. It needed to be something. So the pressure was on. And it's crazy to put pressure on something so fluid and abstract, right? But somehow, some way in high school, I felt that pressure. Everything was made for a contribution towards a project, a task, towards my dad, towards the approval of my parents. The tough relationship started from feeling like time was running out too. The pressure of graduating and making something out of yourself. It hit me so quickly. I couldn't enjoy the moment. I couldn't be present. So the lack of being present, the lack of trying to experiment and see what I truly loved about creation, that sent me into a wormhole of this toxic relationship with creativity. Because it wasn't a medium to express. It wasn't a medium to heal at that point. It wasn't a medium to discover myself. It was a medium to become something successful in like a capitalistic world.
It sounds like there was almost there's this enjoyment of the process of creativity, but then over time it became associated with, okay, I need to achieve this. In order for me to practice art, it must get to the certain outcome. That brings up the concept of non-striving for me. This is definitely something I see for myself a lot with the podcast as well. The more I strive for, I wanted to reach like these people, or I needed to look as good as the best podcasts, or all these heavy internal self-judgments, all these voices of it has to be the certain way. The more I lose the joy of the process, and I forget also why I started this project in the first place, which was to spread the word of mindfulness out there so that whatever helps me, if it's of value to other people, it can help them as well.
It's interesting about what you mentioned before, the goals of needing to be the best podcast, needing to reach a certain amount of people. Those are things that we can't control.
Right.
The funny thing is, like, these titles, these things, yes, you can always strive for it, that direction, but we can't control the outcome. And yeah, your non-striving actually ironically brings you towards the potential of success being really, really for you.
Yeah, I like to focus now more on what you said about what's within my control and what's without. If I focus solely on my input, what I'm actively doing, for example, my only metric of success now is, did I record one episode every week? Did I post one episode on every Sunday like I said I would? And then the rest is completely out of my control. I don't even check whatever views or anything until the day that I post my next episode, because then I have to go on YouTube Creator and Spotify. But yeah, it's what you said about really just focusing on what's within my control, and then the output, just releasing that. So looking back, what would you say to that younger version of yourself about creativity and external pressure?
I would say it doesn't have to be that serious. Like I said, it was bred through needing to hit certain goals, needing to be some sort of accomplishment. So that pressure itself made me spiral. So I would tell my younger self to not take it so seriously, to experiment a bit more, and the accomplishment will come after. Give yourself some time. I would say that. You'll start feeling a sense of love for self when you have appropriate boundaries and when you don't care what people think of you as much. I cared so much.
So it sounds like releasing some of that urgency and attachment to those voices, recentering back to yourself over time.
And there was another thing that actually rocked up. I had my other creative best friend, Kayla, right? A mirror to look at. She, whenever I asked like how she came up with an idea to create something, her answer felt like she didn't have to try. Like it just came to me. I just felt it and I did it. Like it felt effortless. It felt so happy. But then when I approached a certain idea, it just felt really hard. And I think it's also because I had additional training. My mom saw me being so obsessed with painting. She put me into like a after school class. And in the after school class, yes, it was creative on the outside, but most of the time they give you kind of like a template of what you should create today. So you're just following templates. You're not actually free flowing.
So seeing in our friend Kayla as well, her process of not being overly attached to what the outcome is, just in the moment, whatever arises, just going with that, right? And then kind of taking from her that sense of, okay, so I can be like this as well. I don't have to listen to that voice of, no, I will only create this unless it does well, unless it has a certain output associated with it. Yeah, it's been really great to see you step into your power and grow as an artist and really taking up space and listening to that internal voice. But I know that when you're creating art in front of an audience, that can be really difficult as well, right? Because for those of you who don't know, Kina actually used to have a tarot card reading channel as well. And you also now allow yourself to put vlogs or snippets of your own life and your own art creative process on YouTube and Instagram as well. Do you think there's a difference between creating for an audience and creating for yourself? And what is that difference like?
I like how you mentioned that I had like a tarot reading channel, because that to me, the tarot mechanism itself really spoke to that giving value aspect of things. Later down the line, it wasn't really sustainable because I felt like a suffocation of creation for self. The percentage of the pie of creating for self versus creating for audience, I would say 20 self, 80 audience. So I needed to increase the pie, the percentage of doing things for self. And you got to ask yourself, do you truly want to craft your life in a path where you only think about other people? Isn't that draining? Like, how much of the pie are you giving to others? How much of the pie are you giving to yourself? I think, you know what? Those two things, the percentage is uniquely different to everyone. Like for me, I think the pie has to be a bit more of self. I think there's a quote that's coming to mind. If you create for everyone, you create for no one. It always comes back to the idea that if you can be vulnerable with yourself, if you can create from a place that is deeply from your soul, that's going to speak to an audience naturally. And then ultimately that translates to an audience that resonates. What I learned is that when you create for other people, you're almost shooting at a missing target. There's not really a target there because people's opinions are fleeting. People's timeline, the way they grow, the way they like or dislike something, it's all fleeting, right? But the only thing that is solid is yourself, your soul, what you resonate with. And yes, you can grow, change, evolve, but the root is still there, you know? And when we allow ourselves to create from the sense of, oh, this is what I like, and be truly vulnerable with the process, like authentic, you know, that can speak to the whole world. Most time when we shoot for satisfying the audience, it's like almost a lack of self that you are valuable. Me as an individual have nothing to offer. So let me mold myself to something that is valuable.
Really great point there. Do you want to create from a place of self, or do you want to create from a place of everyone else? It's this dynamic of the internal and the external pressure, right? I'm reflecting about this on my own creative process, and I think with my podcast, I was very much thinking about, okay, what would work for other people? And then that's again me focusing on what's in trend, you know, what do people want to listen to? But then now I try to balance it more with what do I actually want to talk about? What has really come up in my life recently? And when it comes from that place, it's almost always more sustainable, lines, more authentic, and wiser in the long run. So how do you then practice compassion, self-compassion in those moments where maybe you are placing pressure on yourself? Sometimes that pressure is still there to some extent. Maybe it's lesser at certain points, but in those moments where you do feel they arise again, how do you practice self-compassion?
I think that when I traded my belief system into the idea of I'm just here to experiment as a soul, it does help release the pressure of needing my creations to be something. I'm just here as a soul to experiment. And I tell myself that every single day. When I show up to, I don't know, do a reading, when I show up to draw, I'm just here to interact, play, and make the unknown known. Make the unknown in my head, the vision, into something that I can see, feel, and touch. Oh, cool. Great experiment. Seeing everything as an experiment takes the pressure off. And also trying to not try this is the thing, like trying to not make myself feel like I have to be like extraordinary, trying to be the artist, trying to look unique, but just falling back into, okay, this is what I want to create today. That itself becomes unique.
Seeing everything as an experiment takes the pressure off. Yeah, that reminds me of, so we're thinking about New Year's resolution. I was having this conversation with one of my other friends about how for New Year's, I don't necessarily have a strong resolution tied to it, because I think that the point of life is not to achieve. I think the point of life is to experience. And I started to think about that recently because the last year I spent chasing. I spent working really hard, doing this podcast as well. I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. And so that thing you said about, I'm just here to experiment, just carrying that mindset in without, when I first start scripting, I can just think, okay, I'm just here to have fun. I'm just here to experiment. Yeah, maybe I'll try that, do like a little ritual before going into it. Do you have any rituals for yourself before starting your art process?
I don't know if it works for everyone, but to me, when there's too much stimulus and too many options, I freeze. So the ritual is to create the box, to create the restraint, to create the limitation. The limitation could be, just working with one type of paper, the size of the paper. The limitation could be just working with one color. But that makes me feel like I got this. And so with that approach, it really makes me feel like, oh, I'm experimenting with new heights.
That's really interesting. I don't think I've tried to do my creative process like that before. Yeah, a fun little experiment to try.
I think people just fear trying. I think a lot of the anxiety comes from, they say, this might be controversial, but partly whenever in the past I've used the word perfectionistic, part of it could have also been that I was a coward. Like, I am scared to try and I'm scared to fall face flat and it not work out. That's what I'm scared about. So I hide behind this perfectionistic lens, but sometimes it really is. It gets in the way. Like, I want to perfect something. But there are also other times that, okay, no. I'm just scared to put myself out there.
I think, and that is the healing element of creativity sometimes, right? Because it allows us to then play without performance. When we're kids, we're constantly creating. Kids don't ask if their drawings are good enough. They draw because it feels good. They build sandcastles knowing that the tide's going to wash them away, but they still build them because they fall in love with this process of the building. And that to me is pure creative flow. But like you said, as adults, we often replace that play with performance. And many people think, I'm not creative. But sometimes it's actually not that they aren't creative. It's that they feel this pressure of having to create something perfect. Unless it's perfect, I'm not going to start at all. And they fear that trying. So then what would you say from your experience to someone who wants to create and finds it really hard to release this perfectionism? How can they let go of control and reintroduce this childlike curiosity back into their lives?
This thing I learned called CIA, which for this context, it means consistent imperfect action.
Wow.
Okay, so set yourself a consistent restraint. For me, I went full on with my kind of like trying to heal this aspect of self every day. I was like, every single day I just show up. And again, with the creative ritual that I mentioned before, releasing all the multiple options, making it just one element. I work with pen to paper. That's it. Consistently showing up. And then this is the part where people fear showing it to the world. So for me, to beat that fear, I posted it online. It's fine that you don't think this is good enough, but you post it anyways. You show it to a crowd anyways. A lot of the times, the belief system is that, oh, it's bad, so it can't be shown. Oh, it's bad, so I'm just not going to put this out there. But the new system is not to think that, oh, I'm amazing. Look at what an artist I am. The new system is, I feel bad, but I still give myself the permission to put it out there. It's the permission. It's the permission slip. Yeah, see,
consistent imperfect action. That will help a lot of people. Let's talk about creativity for healing as well, because I think there's a real basis for this. When we feel certain feelings or sensations are really hard to articulate with words, art can help you express through nonverbal means, through colors, through symbols, through shapes or patterns. And that's the basis of art therapy as well, right? Creativity can be the body's way of processing emotions we can't always explain. Have you had any experiences of that? Maybe an example where making something helped you to process a difficult emotion?
Yes, I'm gonna mention two things.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was processing emotions from a place where I dislike myself, and the second one was when I do like myself. Okay. So back in high school, when the teacher tasked me to create portraits of myself, paint portraits of myself, every single day I had to show up because, you know, it's going to be judged. It's part of the exam. So there's no way out of it. And I cried every single day when I painted it because of the numbing thoughts of like, who do you think you are? Like everything was just like spilling out as I painted it. And the painting itself was a younger version of me crying, where there was like a clown kind of makeup that was streaming down my face. Very literal, very literal. And the background was a draping of dark reds. Okay, so it's basically like suppressed anger, suppressed like maybe feeling unsafe, really speaking through me. That was the first time that I realized how powerful creation is. But at the end of the day, with my consciousness back then, I didn't understand necessarily the significant impact it had for me now. Now, when I look at it, it's like, oh, that's my inner child screaming. That's my inner child wanting to say all the things that they can't say. At that time, I thought, why am I creating this? And is it just for show? And it really resonated with many people. That's the thing. It's so vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable piece of art that I made that I wanted to hide. But my art teacher decided, hey, let's print it and make it into postcards and like spread it throughout the whole school. Let's put it into like an exhibition in Hong Kong. I hated that. I was like, why are you looking at this piece? Why aren't you looking at this piece? This one's so much better. It has so much skill. It has so much craft. But like I said before, people don't resonate with perfection. People don't really care about skill. People care when it's true, when it's truly from your soul, when it resonates with the world, because humanity is imperfect. Okay. And the second one.
That's powerful.
Sorry, that is powerful.
Just need to take that in. That's really powerful. Thank you for sharing something so vulnerable with us. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But as you were talking about it, even as you were talking about it, I haven't seen the piece, but even as you were explaining it, like my heart hurt because the way you described the portrait, the clown makeup, the drapes, the crying on it, the facial expression of it, one picture can communicate so many emotions and feeling that sometimes words alone cannot as well.
Yeah.
And it reminds...
Oh, sorry. Yes,
go on. You go.
I was going to say, you just don't know how powerful your work can be in the moment of creation. So stop judging yourself, but give it time. Give it time. And you asked me about like another piece that also transmuted my emotions. It's the one after healing, which is the one right behind me right here. So that was after I beat the tough relationship with hating myself and having a higher vision, higher purpose, wanting to create with the intention to uplift the world. And again, similar process. I set the intention to create a beautiful abstract piece that channels love. And I cried so much. And for the first time, there was lack of judgment for my skill set, for the colors I use, for my techniques. I think you know what it is. When you have the emotion of love running through you, judgment can't exist. I think that's truth. When you love, you have compassion. Compassion doesn't fit in the realm of judgment, criticism. That can't exist.
Yeah, that is so true. That's something we can integrate into everything, not just creative processes. I genuinely think the solution to all problems is love. As cliche or as cringy as it sounds, it's just love. Like when you act from a place of love, things get solved a lot easier than, this hate, this back and forth, this resentment. Resentment lasts a long time, and the feeling of anger is a really tiring feeling. So when you can just act from a place of love, it's not to make the other person feel good, it's to make yourself feel good. You release all that judgment, as you said. It solves everything, I really think.
I agree. Like you have to be the one to start loving first. Like it's not a revenge tactic or anything. It's just, but it frees
it's for you,
you.
right? Yeah. I'm thinking about that piece that you talked about, the first piece. I'm just thinking if you pop that with the new piece that you made, it must be so emotional, watching that journey, and maybe even like the mediums, the colors that you use, the strokes, everything must look so different, right?
Yes. You're so right. It truly is from two different artists. Like it's like a totally different person who created those works. But it's what it shows to me is that even if you feel like you're not an artist, that the feelings you have towards yourself and how you categorize yourself doesn't necessarily mean it's true. There was a long period where I thought, why, like, imposter syndrome was on a high, where I thought, why am I in this art school? Like, how the hell did I get in? I'm not creative. Like,
which is crazy, because I want to give a bit of context to other people listening to this who don't know Kina. Not to toot your horn or anything, but at school she was literally known. Certain people are known for different things. Kina was known as the creative. Every time people did works of art, when you put it next to hers just stood out so much out of everyone else's. It's like, even from a very young age, because we've known each other for like almost half our lives now, right? And like, even from a young age, very, very quickly, your stuff stood out. So for you to say that, I think it'll make other people realize that you can be the most outstanding person in the room. You can have the most talent. And yet, there's still this really human emotion of doubting yourself. There's still this imposter syndrome. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Thank you. It's really interesting, isn't it? Like, sometimes the thing that you have the toughest relationship with is actually very purposeful. Like, it's part of your purpose. For those out there who are thinking or having like the really toughest and sometimes borderline toxic relationship with a certain aspect of their life, just know that on the other end of it, you're going to get the biggest prize, right? The main bulk that you'll gain the most love and fulfillment from is always going to be the toughest journey. So look at the tough journey and be like, that's at one day I'm going to win. One day I'm going to reign on top. And one day this is my legacy. I don't know. At least I like to think that way.
Yeah, so true. It makes me think back to all the challenges that we've been through. Looking back, I think we can say for both of us, yeah, you needed that. I know it's horrible. I know it's shit, but you needed to go through that, because in a few years, girly, we're going to be here. We're going to be on the same podcast. We're going to be talking about those very experiences that we held our hands through during those really tough points. And it makes me feel really emotional talking about that, actually, because I remember how difficult it was for us both back then. Like, we were really each other's rock. Like, there were times I remember where we would meet. Yes. And we just drink and we just like spill our hearts out to each other.
We drink and we smoke and we talk about the most depressing thing, and then
for real.
And then I think the smoke and the alcohol releases our emotions, and it was if anybody were to look at us back then, they would think like, oh, what a bunch of like sad, depressed losers or something.
Yeah, losers. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing? Oh.
There were only times when we met, like, I didn't even know if we were gonna, be able to get through what we were going through at the time. But we don't really talk about that period so much, because we're so good now that we almost forgotten, how hard it once was for us both. And then there's only going to be more as well. Say maybe 10 years and we do another episode together.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, you remember that? Now we have like a solid track record of this.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, but if we were to transport time and go back to ourselves back then, yeah, I think we'd be like, and saw ourselves now, we'd be like, yeah, we did it.
Like, oh my God, she's that girl. Okay.
Yeah, she's doing it. Even though she's scared, even though she's afraid of putting her work out there, she's still doing it.
Should we do like dear future self, like in 10 years time, where we think we'll be?
Let's do it. I would like to think that in the future, I will be a speaker, a keynote speaker who has traveled multiple countries and delivered talks internationally. I hope that I build an even deeper reserve of self-love that I already have a foundation of now, but I hope I'm able to maintain it through everything, because as you grow, the external noise also grows, right? Your audience grows, and yeah, I hope that I can maintain everything I love about myself now and not listen to any of that. I hope that my friendships, like this very cherished and special one here, continues to flourish and develop. And I think my purpose in this life, again, as cringy as it sounds, is truly just to spread love and joy, and that's it. Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
all from me.
Yes, that's very soulful.
I've never actually thought too far ahead like that. I plan maybe like 2, 3, 5 years max, but I've never thought like past, say, like 10 years or something.
10 years.
Yeah.
10
what
years
about you?
So 10 years, I'm 35.
I
think I would have built like some sort of efficient ecosystem where I share my creativity and like healing, like an extension of that. But it can become a legacy, essentially, where people can come in as a beginner and whatever, get some sort of mentorship. I know that, for example, Issie, you have a lot of professional qualifications to really get those roles of like mentoring people, a teacher archetype come through. But for me, it might be a little bit more abstract, but definitely an ecosystem that helps a lot of people. Friendships
Sounds like we're both
deepened.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, go on.
No, definitely. Like my friendships are deepened. Like you and just a select few are my main ones. High quality. Everyone's high quality in my circle at this point.
Yeah, same. I feel like when I look at my circle, like sometimes you have friends who talk about toxic people in their circle. When I look at my circle, when I look at your circle, there's not a single person there who I'm not happy to have in my life, basically. Every single person is of such quality. And I realize that's actually something quite rare for us to have in our 20s.
Yeah, I totally agree. It almost feels like the whole narrative of the 20s being sold as like this extravaganza, going out there, big groups party. Like, it just doesn't resonate.
Yeah, I feel like I need to shake out some of the emotion.
You know what? The last chat we had when I came over, you know how you asked like, oh, do you feel emotions in certain parts of your body?
Yeah.
And I said, I can only feel it in my head, you know, and you said like, oh, you can feel it like here.
Yeah.
It really opened me up to like questioning myself, because I was like, did I just like subconsciously program myself to close my heart out, to not feel, you know, and just like let it situate up here? And so part of the meditation practices in the morning for a period of time was trying to come here, and I feel like it's more open now, but thanks to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, Kina came to mind recently, and then we were talking about where we feel certain emotions in different areas of our body. And then Kina said she feels it all in her head. And then I said I feel it mostly in my stomach, sometimes in my chest. Yeah. And then we were just noticing. And again, sometimes once you bring that awareness to it, the more you build up the sensitivity, the more you notice when in certain situations trigger certain parts of your body to feel uncomfortable. Simply that awareness sometimes is already enough to trigger that sensitivity. So let's talk about that a bit more then. Have there been moments where creative blocks were actually signals of old patterns or wounds? And then how did you notice that, whether it's like a bodily sensation or a thought or a feeling?
When I started to heal my creative blocks, I realized that I have this idea in my head that I have to be a certain way, right, in order to be successful, whatever. And I can really feel it clenching in my lower abdomen. So it's like and I stop breathing. Like my breathing patterns gone. It's almost like a bodily signal to the mental belief system of, no, you got to restrict. no, you can't stray out of line. No, you can't experiment, you know.
So it's like
No,
this rigidity.
Yes, rigidity.
Yeah.
No, you must stick to this path because this path is the only way you can be successful. It's the only way that people can look at you and be like, oh, she's that person. Oh, so I gain clarity. Oh, I know who she is. And whenever I feel that, I realize, oh, okay, old versions of stuff are coming up. Let me just breathe. Let me try to release like the clenching of my perineum, the clenching of my stomach. Let me be present. And in the moment I get in tune with that, I'm able to be okay with moving forward. Each time it gets easier, you know how it is.
So you're highlighting that first it's noticing where in your body, and then bringing that awareness to it. And then once you've brought the awareness and you identify that, okay, this is just a thought arising from the past self. I don't have to follow through with it. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to give it power. And then that's when the release occurs. And then you are able to then get into your creative process and overcome that creative block. Is that correct?
Very
correct. I want to give you a more abstract question now. If creativity could speak, what do you think it would say to people? What do you think it would want people to know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's quite an abstract one.
I feel like creativity is saying, work with me. Work with me, you know? I think so many people cut their creativity stream off so early on. And creativity just wants to come through, co-create, right? Creativity is abundant, and creativity just wants at least one human being to open up their channel to co-create, to collab, work with me.
Work with me. I like that. All right, so we're coming near closing. We have a closing tradition here, and that is the question, what is one thing that you wish others knew about you? And this is quite a big one, so feel free to take your time to think about it.
I'm happy to connect. That's one thing. I always think about people from the past, either from my high school or just like workplaces. And sometimes it's intimidating to just pop a DM because you don't know what the other person thinks of you. But genuinely, all the love. Like I'm curious. I'm always curious.
Yeah, so true. Like every time I bump into someone from school on the streets or something, I'm actually so happy to see them. Like no matter what happened in the past, no matter if we were friends or not, I don't care. I'm just so happy to see someone, you know, from school.
A familiar
again.
face.
Yeah, exactly. It's all love. Yeah.
We gotta bypass the awkwardness.
Yeah. So you want people to know that you're just open. You're open to connecting. Yeah. Okay, so where can people find you, Kina? Do you have anything coming up in the near future? Or where can people learn more about your work?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok, all under Kina Isaria.
I will link all of that below in the description as well. Well, thank you, Kina, so much for opening up so vulnerably and sharing your own personal story and journeys with us. It was really nice to revisit some of the themes that have come up for us and be able to co-create with you today, talk about different concepts.
Yeah, thank you to you too for offering this platform, for being so creative and creating this, you know, this channel itself, and also sharing your insights, being so easy to bounce off with.
Oh, thank you so much. Love you, girly.
Love you.
Bye-bye now. Well, I wasn't expecting to get emotion in that conversation today, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. More of a free-flowing episode today, and do let me know if you enjoy the style more, because like one of the key themes of this episode today, experimentation, I'm still experimenting with this as well. A couple of the special takeaways I got from that conversation was 1. Allowing ourselves to create from an internal place, feeling into what we want to create and loosening our attachment to external outputs. Ironically, less of a fixation on these outputs is what creates that sustainable creative flow. 2. To release perfectionism, you can set an intention of, I'm here to experiment, and use the CIA acronym. Consistent, imperfect action. Showing up every day and trusting that the right audience will find you. And 3. A fun little activity you can try to introduce more play into your creative process is to define your own project limitations. For example, by using one medium, like one pen or one color only, trusting in your own resourcefulness, and then seeing how much you can create within that realm. Thank you for being here, guys, and if any of these resonated with you, let us know in the comments below. If you took any value from this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could do me a favor and take a moment to subscribe and rate the show, or share it with someone you love so more people can benefit from mindfulness. Until next time, keep steeping in wisdom, and don't forget to take a moment for yourself today, even if it's just 5 minutes.